Mike Odysseus, tell us a bit more about what you do in the telecoms industry and how that's affected by where the economy is going.
We supply telecom solutions to small businesses in the northeast, and over the last 4 years we've had some fairly flat growth. However, in the last 12 months we've managed to increase revenue by 5%. It's been very challenging, of course, and during that time of flat growth we've had to really work very hard to retain our staff, which is our core asset. Without those people we wouldn't have that excellent customer service, and that's what you need today to
you've retained staff, Mike. Have you taken any more on, and have you paid them any more during that period?
For the last 4 years we've had to keep wages flat because that's the reality of where we're at. However, in the last 12 months we've been very fortunate to take on 3 more staff. So that reflects, as far as I'm concerned, an improvement in the economy. And I'm not quite sure how all these statistics affect us, but in reality we just work hard and work with the economy that we've got.
Right, and is it affected very much by the way the economy's going, or is it more to do with you promoting your business and telling your story?
Well, there's 2 factors. Ultimately, promoting your business at times of a recession is more effective. So,
why is that?
Because our competitors are not as loud as they normally are. So they are actually keeping down their marketing activities. So if one can afford to spend more and make a bigger impression, then the effect is actually greater than at times of substantial growth when everybody is spending enormous amounts of money on marketing.
So what are you weighing up when you're thinking of investing or not, in either by taking more people on or expanding the business? What are the crucial factors that you're weighing up there? Are you looking at the GDP numbers?
No, because unfortunately those figures are largely meaningless to me. They represent something like 40% of the statistics that they should be gathering. So we release statistics faster than any other country in the West. It's released 25 days after the end of the quarter, which is incredible. They'll be revised again, may even take 2 years to revise them again. So it's just absolutely meaningless, a lot of excess drama to me.
OK, I mean, obviously one measure of confidence is whether you feel able to pay your staff anymore. Can I ask both of you, Nigel and Mike, what you paid your staff in terms of a pay rise this year? Mike first.
Unfortunately, we've had to keep wage rises at 0 for the last 4 years because that's a reflection of the overall picture. But the fact that we've had 5% growth in the last 12 months, it's more encouraging than there will be some small rises, but albeit they'll be small, certainly not the rate of inflation.
Nigel?
Yeah, I agree with that. We've had to hold up pay to the last couple of years, but we've tried wherever possible to maintain employment by doing that. OK, well, thank you. That's been the trade-off in lots of parts of the economy. Nigel Harrison there from Kingcraft and Mike Odysseus from Odyssey Systems. One text relevant to this: civil servant on top of a 3-year pay freeze, no incremental progression, plus pension deductions of up to $150 per month. Now, as we are hearing, it's very similar, public and private sector there. Has your pay packet seen much growth recently? Fewer companies are freezing pay now, according to Income Status Services, and actually the pay increase is averaging 2.5%. Ken Mulkern can tell us a little bit more. That's better than it's been for a while, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, the figures are interesting. For the first quarter, they're showing an average of 2.5%, like you've said, but we've also started monitoring pay settlements that are effective in April, which is a key month for pay reviews for many people across the economy. Now, it's early days, but what those figures show is a slight uptick in the level of award to 2.75%. Now, just like the GDP figures, as more information comes in, that might be revised up or down. But nevertheless, it's moderately optimistic.
But if only 2 companies out of 10 are given a pay rise and it's 2.5%, that's 2.5%. But if 8 out of those 10 are not given a pay rise, it distorts the picture, doesn't it?
Well, of course, those are the vagaries of what's happening, and we heard a bit of it from the two chaps earlier. I mean, small businesses have had it hard. That's where there have been pay freezes. But, of course, there are companies that have been doing better, in sectors like utilities, air and rail transport, other parts of manufacturing and so on, and they've been continuing to pay basic pay increases.
Well, Richard from Coventry has a nice story to tell. He's a HGV driver. He says, when the agency worker regulations came in last year, my wages jumped from £9 an hour December. It's at £14.48. He says he loves Europe. I mean, that's a relatively rare story, though, isn't it? Can you tell us, Ken, how it compares between the public sector and the private sector? Because what we were hearing there from those companies seemed to suggest that the private sector has been just as bad as the public sector lately.
Well, what the figures show is that in terms of basic pay rises, our figures are just as I've set out for the private sector. But in the public sector, the government has capped basic awards at 1%. So that's the gap, 1% in the public sector, 2.5% in the private sector.
Another text here from John in Derby. No pay rise for 6 years, 10% pay cut this year, working in construction. Not much work, but still working.
Yeah, and other comments on pay rises. I mean, do you think it's possible that in the private sector, at least, Ken, we may, for the first time in a while, see a real terms pay increase for people? Because 2.75% isn't that far away from the inflation number.
No, but that's the $600 million question, isn't it? I mean, you know, to the extent that pay rises are still lagging behind inflation, that's probably been a factor in that productivity conundrum that you painted earlier. So what happens to them as we move forward is a huge question and obviously plays a role in what's happening generally economically.
Thank you. Ken McKern there from Income Status Services. Mickey and I will be back in 5 Live Breakfast, where we'll bring you updates and numbers on the economy.
5 Live's Wake Up to Money podcast. Delivered to your computer every weekday. For more information, go online.
bbc.co.uk/5live.